Welcome in, everybody, to our 3-round mock draft of the Chicago Bears. Chicago Bears are coming off a draft class last year where they made that trade with the Panthers, grabbed their quarterback of the future. Did not pan out the season how kind of a lot of people thought it was going to be, even with all the other additions that they made in free agency. They got a new head coach in Ben Johnson, and now they're looking to build around Caleb Williams and go into the future, Chase. So the Bears draft is going to be a fun one. What are your thoughts of the state of the Bears currently?
Yeah, I think that they did everything right last year, except for they were loyal to a head coach that had no reason to be loyal to. Right, Matt Eberflus hadn't done anything right. That defense, it was good, but it wasn't great. Like Eberflus was supposed to make it right. I think now that the Bears, for the first time in my lifetime, I think the Bears are trending in the right direction.
Yeah,
so I'm excited. Like, as a Packer fan, I don't like. I'm supposed to hate the Bears, but they've just been so bad that I can't help but to root for them. I'm closer to Chicago here in Iowa than I am to Green Bay. Of course, I'm a diehard Green Bay fan. I'm never root for them like in a Super Bowl or anything or beat us. But I like Caleb Williams. I really like Ben Johnson. So I am secretly just excited for a little bit of success. I don't want them to win the division or anything, but could they just get out of the dumps just once? That'd be
Yeah, well, let's see if they've got the quarterback. If Caleb Williams is as advertised and Ben Johnson we know is as advertised, then there should be a lot of upside here for the Chicago Bears. Which, like you said, haven't seen that in a very long time because really they've just never been able to get the quarterback or head coach pairing right. They keep missing out on it, and hopefully, if you're the Bears fan, they've finally got it figured out. So we're definitely going to go ahead and go through this 3-round mock draft and look at how we can go ahead and help support Caleb Williams and get better overall here for the Chicago Bears. But first, we got to take a look at what they've done so far in free agency, Chase. So walk us through, Chase, of key additions and key departures for the Chicago Bears thus far.
Yeah, so the major thing for Chicago is that they made a lot of additions, and they had 0 key departures. All of their core pieces stayed in Chicago, right? Looking through, I didn't see any depart that the Chicago Bears lost that was really going to make a difference in their season, right? The big one right now, Keenan Allen, right, is a free agent. I don't think Keenan Allen's that big of a deal. I guess key departure, you can put him there if you want to. I'm not. Right? I don't think he made a big enough splash last year. I don't think he's the type of receiver to make a big enough splash anywhere he goes. Right, and just in this time, if it's prime Keenan Allen, we'd be talking about that for days. But at this point in his career, I'm not big on Keenan Allen. And additions, this is where they went crazy. Of course, the big one, right? I think the biggest addition, and I didn't even put it on my list, is Ben Johnson. Right, they got their head coach. They got that figured out, and that's going to be huge, right? So his first order of business was completely tearing apart this offensive line. They traded for Jonah Jackson. They traded for Chiefs guy Joe Thuney. They signed center Drew Dalman, right? And they have all of 3 of those listed as interior offensive linemen. So I don't know if they're going to move them around, right? Because Drew Dalman's technically a center. Jonah Jackson's played both center and guard, right? Thuney's played tackle even. So those are guys that they can move around and make this offensive line how they want it, right? They grabbed defensive lineman Dayo Odeyingbo from the Colts. I'd never really heard of this guy, and then I'm looking, and this guy's a pretty elite run stopper, right? I think he's going to reminisce the days of Akeem Hicks there in Chicago defensive line. To pair with him, if he doesn't work out, they grabbed Grady Jarrett on a 3-year deal. They grabbed Omadai Zaccheaus, the playoff big star for the Commanders. And then they also grabbed, I only put them on this list because all the stuff they're doing with the kick returning. They grabbed wide receiver kick returner Devin Duvernay, right? He's been around a little bit, but he is a guy that, some of those guys are pretty, I'd say, Chicago coded, right? Like Grady Jarrett and Dayo, right? Being that big offensive lineman, Giants, right? That's pretty Chicago coded. I think Devin Duvernay, right? Chicago has had a lot of successful kick returners, right? So
they have.
So I when I seen that, I'm like, that's just a perfect pairing. That's where I imagine a guy like Duvernay having success. So this is a fun off season for Chicago, right? They've had a couple fun off seasons, not seasons. So let's turn this fun off season into a meaningful one.
Yeah, that's enough time where we talk about what they did in the off season and put it down on paper, and let's see how it actually plays out.
Yeah.
but we still got to build up the team. We've got some extra draft picks to do it here. So we're going to pull up their mock draft here. And just as far as purposes for this mock draft, there is no trade. So it's just 3-round mock, currently as is, with the Chicago Bears here at pick number 10. And we're going to go ahead and get started here. So we're going to start our draft and see where we start here at pick number 10. Alrighty, so a lot of different ways that we can go here. Obviously, we've got the needs here that PFF tells us: a safety, defensive line, and running back. What are your thoughts here, Chase, on our first pick here at pick number 10?
Yeah, I think there's a couple ways to go. One way I like, to me, I like, after watching that, I like to go offensive lineman, right? Is that going to be a likelihood with this draft board? What I'm seeing is no. It looks like Mimbo and Will Johnson are probably already taken. So this is, I don't know if we could go wrong here. This is the worst case scenario, I think. Oh no, Will Campbell's right there. I don't know why I just didn't see Will Campbell, right? So to me, right there, that's who I would pick. I know a lot of people are in the Ashton Jeanty train. I don't know if he is taken already. He is. He's going to save us that pick, so that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Let the Jets take him.
Yeah, as far as I go here with the Bears, as far as it goes with running back, that's just, we've seen that doesn't contribute to anything, right? I mean, whenever your team is bad everywhere else, when your offensive line is bad, getting an elite running back isn't going to do it. Even a guy like Ashton Jeanty, who's phenomenal, and all this other stuff. It's just, if you're running, but if your offensive line's not good, and now they address it really hardcore, and like you highlighted so eloquently in free agency. But I think with Will Campbell here specifically, like if Will Campbell's not here, maybe we do something else. Maybe you take a running back, maybe you go defensive line. But the fact that Will Campbell here, one of the top 2 tackles, is on the board here at pick 10, which realistically I don't see happening, but we can only go with what the mock draft gives us. I think you take him here. I mean, you shore up the offensive line. You say, hey, offensive line is not going to be a problem. If there's going to be a problem on this team, it's going to be some other position. It's not going to be the offensive line. And because he knows best what they did in Detroit. That offensive line was, I mean, because their offensive line was so good, it opened up everything else. It opened up Jared Goff to be successful. It opened up Sonic and Knuckles to be successful, right? David Montgomery, Jimmy Gibbs, just opened up all the offense to be successful and shoring up the offensive line. So I think he knows what works. He's had success with one model, and that is having an elite offensive line. He's been building it in free agency. Let's continue to build it here in the draft. So I think Will Campbell here is a no-brainer. I feel super comfortable picking him.
Yeah, that would be an awesome. I think that's the best. Like, I normally have Mimbo going there, but I think Will Campbell's the best. Yeah, I think he's the number 1 guy. So him falling to the Bears would be awesome.
And I think also as well, with Caleb Williams being like one of the most sacked quarterbacks last year, you also have to know what you're getting in Caleb Williams. Like we assume he's a quarterback of the future. We assume he's a franchise guy, but it's hard to evaluate that whenever he's running for his life every single snap. So once you shore up the offensive line, now you can say, okay, let's actually look at what we have at Caleb Williams and evaluate him more fairly, just to make sure if he's the guy or not, right? So I think that's just, for the long term for the Chicago Bears, it's not the most flashy pick, right? We saw some of these other players that were there, but shore up the offensive line. I think overall in the future, it's what's best for your program. And so now here in the second round here, we're up here with Carolina's pick here at pick number 39, and then we're right back in with our pick at pick number 41. So this is kind of similar to what the Seattle Seahawks are looking like, where you have like a back to almost back, where you just have one person there in the middle. So if you haven't seen the Seahawks draft, make sure you check that one out as well. Same situation here. Whereas obviously with the Saints kind of are in a different situation where they're kind of going after maybe the same person, right? We've got some defensive linemen that can go in there. So really at this point, you don't want to risk losing out on the player that you want, because the Saints might snipe him here. So I think we really focus on the defensive line here for this pick, because really they addressed it in free agency, obviously, like you said, with Dayo Abiodungo and Grady Jarrett. But free agency only doing that. Let me take a look at what the defensive line that we have available here to see where we can go with. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's a great starting spot is defensive line. Ooh,
All right. Not really a lot
yeah.
given to us here at pick
I
number
mean,
39.
I like Tyreek Williams, but the rest of the guys I'm not in
Yeah.
love with at all.
He's a good pick here. Tyke Williams here. Might be a guy though that might still be available there at pick number 41 if we're not completely sold on him. Let's take a look here at the safety position. That's another
Yeah.
position here of need. So let's see if there's a more of a guy here that we absolutely haven't. Xavier Watts. I know you're a big Xavier Watts guy.
I am. I do like Xavier Watts a lot. I think he's probably the third best. PFF has him as the second best, but he's probably the third best safety in this draft class. And him and Ben Morrison in the backfield at Notre Dame was the reason that they got to the championship game. Right, this guy is just an all around good player. Right, there's nothing that I would say that like puts him above other players, but there's nothing that he's got to like massively get better with to fit into an NFL system. And again,
Yeah.
right, I kind of talked about Chicago coded players, right? Xavier, having a safety is kind of, a top notch safety, kind of Chicago coded, right? They've been really bad, but they've had their good safeties. So I wouldn't mind drafting Xavier Watts, a guy who can tackle really well in the defensive backfield. He's not going to be like the speed demon running around there like Imani Ware or Starks will be, but he is going to make tackles. He's going to eliminate big plays. He's going to knock a ball down in a Hail Mary situation to win a game against the Commanders. But, stuff like that, yeah, you can count on Xavier Watts to be doing. So I like that. I like that selection for them.
So let me lay this out here for you. So just because, like we said, so with the Saints right behind us, the Saints don't need a safety. They just got Jordan Reed in free agency, so they don't need a safety. They need more of a defensive line. So that's not to say they're going to go here, but if I think we're more at risk of losing our defensive line option than we are at losing Xavier Watts, because it would not make sense for the Saints to pick a safety here, whereas it would make sense for them to pick a defensive line. So like I said, it's pretty much back to back. So I think we could easily double up here. I think we could take Tyke here at pick number 39. Saints will pick whoever, and then Xavier Watts will be available to us at 41. So that's my thoughts here, just because if we go Xavier Watts here, there's a chance that we lose our defensive lineman that we like to the Saints.
Yes, no, I was just thinking that I think that Watson could be a good spot there, but I don't think that's a pick that we pick it to stop the Saints from getting it.
Yeah. Okay. So I think so Tyreek Williams in here is going to be the pick.
Yeah, a fun pick would be like not a fun pick, but like Josh Connerly on the right tackle. Like just get as many linemen as you can. In the offensive
line, we have to figure it out. We're going to figure it out.
That'd be fun. I mean, we're not doing that, but that would be fun.
All right, Tyreek Williams, and then so they end up going wide receiver. So that's good, perfect, because we're going with Xavier Watts here at pick number with our pick number 41. Perfect. See, that worked out perfect. So see there, so obviously drafting need, but then being wise to the team that's drafting right behind you, what their need is as well, to make sure that they don't snipe the player that you're wanting. So that's what I love about the draft too, is you have to kind of finesse. It's like, okay, the team picking after us though, do they want the same position we want? They do. Okay, well, we don't want our guy to go to them, so we have to get our guy first. So I love it. That's one of my favorite parts about the draft. All right, now we're up here with our last pick here in round 3, Chase, pick number 72. We've kind of really addressed kind of both sides of the ball up to this point we're looking at here. We obviously got our sure tackle here, and then we've beefed up our defense in the trenches and the back end, and now we've got one last pick here at round 3. What are we thinking?
Yeah, I think this is probably going to be a fun pick, right? Whether it's a cornerback, right, or a wide receiver or a halfback. I think that's kind of where it's going to. More of a skill position pick. A guy that, we didn't really draft a guy that will sell jerseys yet, right? No one's buying a Will Campbell jersey. No one's buying a Tyreek Williams jersey. Xavier Watts is not going to be the star of the draft. So we need, they're going to draft someone, a skill position player at some point in time. And I think this is the spot that would make the most sense for them to do it.
Yeah, I agree. And we're looking at kind of the running back position, which is a need that they have. I mean, they have DeAndre Swift, but he's not He's not a top back. I don't really know if he ever was a top back in the league, but he's definitely not a top back now. And Rashawn Johnson as well. So, I mean, they really don't have anybody as far as running back. And now we've got a beefed up offensive line. Why don't we take a shot at one of these running backs here? Take a shot at them in the draft, take a shot at putting them in there in the system. I think could be really fun. And we obviously could have gone running back earlier, but we're just, in general, just position value for running back is you can have a lot of different players be successful at the running back position. So we tend to kind of wait for those. And so obviously we did it here. Are you liking any of the running back options available to us here at pick 72?
It's just, yeah, it's just a strange here because I don't know what this running back is going to be. Is this going to be, right? Ben Johnson, I think the most famous thing is he created that Sonic Knuckles running dual running backs, went out and got what can I think his name? Gibbs in the first round, right? Is he gonna, like, Ben Johnson moved off of DeAndre Swift. Like they traded him during the draft to the Eagles, right? So is he gonna be content to use him, or this is the guy you pulled him up? This is the guy that could come in and be that David Montgomery player if they want to keep Swift, right? RJ Harvey is a very aggressive runner, right? He's not. I think he's a little bit more skilled in his like hands than David Montgomery. He's a good pass catcher, but he's more of a downhill, violent runner. Where like you have a guy like Devin Neal who's more evasive, or I don't really know much about Dylan Sampson, but PFF seems to really like him. They have him above Caleb Johnson for some crazy reason. But is Dylan Sampson going to come in? I'm based off of what I kind of heard about Dylan Sampson. I'm guessing he's going to be more of a, not violent runner. He's going to be more of the same type of runner that DeAndre Swift already is, right? But so I'm not sure. I think I would go, man. Yeah, I to me my favorite running back of this class is left here that I see is either Devin Neal or that Brayshaw Tutin. Isn't that the guy who broke the 40 or had the fastest 40? That's a guy that could address him. But Devin Neal is a much better running back in my opinion. So I think Devin Neal would be my pick, but I would be also moving off of Swift if I did Devin Neal, right? I would make Devin Neal more, have Devin Neal eat into Swift's already.
Yeah. Yeah, Devin Neal is tough. I really like Devin Neal as well. I don't know if that's necessarily the best fit for Chicago.
Yeah.
I think it's more athletic. It's kind of everything all around. I don't really know if that's what Chicago style is going to be. So I do think really the top two here between Dylan Sampson and RJ Harvey really is what we're looking at here.
Okay.
And I mean they're both really pretty much similar. I mean both had 22 touchdowns. When you look at RJ Harvey had more runs or more average more yards per carry here. So and more receiving yards as well. So kind of what you want to look at. I did watch a lot of Tennessee this year just because they were one of my like I predicted them to win the playoffs. I was pretty high on Tennessee going in, so I did really watch it. I like Dylan Sampson a lot. I think he could be a steal for any team. But when you look at what Dylan Sampson's able to do, like running in between the tackles, I really like the idea of what the offensive line for the Bears is shaping up to be. So I don't really have a problem anywhere that we go. But for me, I think Dylan Sampson, with how the current offensive line is based on free agency and what we've done on the draft, I think Dylan Sampson here to me is kind of the pick that I would go with.
Okay, I'm gonna deflect to you because I don't have a lot of Dylan Sampson background in my noggin right now. So I'm gonna deflect to you as running with Dylan Sampson because I'm not sold on like RJ Hart, right? He's not a guy that screams running back one to me. So would this be like would you be confident with Sampson eating away Swift's carries over like next year Simpson or like the next offseason we're talking about Sampson as the Chicago's number one running back?
Yes. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. I mean, Sampson's. I mean, he's got he's his acceleration is next level. Yeah. But he can do anything. I mean, he can do gap. He can do zone. Like he pretty much anything. Like anything you want him to do, like he can do. so like to me, I just think I see him as eventually. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if by the end, like say this happens right in real life, like if Swift is replaced by him by the end of the season, like he's taking over the carries because um, he's there. I mean, the only like difference is like pass protection. He's not good at pass protection, but not really many starting running backs are going to be in there on passing downs anyway. Like if it's like 100% of passing down, like you don't really have your running back in there in pass coverage anyway. So it's like, yes, it's a slight, but it's not like the biggest deal to me when it comes with a running back. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, I think he could be a 100% full starter, 100%.
Okay, then I'm sold on him. You've sold me on Samson. Okay, so that was our last.
And that wraps up
the 4 picks.
That was the last pick. So just the 4. Obviously, they're going to trade our grass, but I think it's solid. We addressed obviously, both sides of the ball, which I think is crucial in the draft. You don't want to go too heavy, and we got a nice balance. And yeah, we get an overall draft grade of an A. So really a cool draft. So yeah, I mean, obviously, Pickerton, Will Campbell. You can go a lot of different places there. Yeah. We said, listen, let's double down, triple down, quadruple down on the offensive line. Like we're going into the season with a completely rebuilt offensive line. The only person still there is Darnell Wright from last season. We're just revamping and everything. Tear it down, build it back up. Let's fix the trenches on both sides, right? We went with interior defensive line with Tyreek Williams and then safety Xavier Watts there on the back end. And then obviously with the 3rd round pick, we need a halfback. This is a deep halfback draft. We still got a lot of talent there. Dylan Sampson gives great explosiveness, aggression, acceleration, which can be fantastic behind our newly built offensive line. And this is what we got. I really love this draft. I don't really go too much off of what the PFF grade says, but obviously, it's nice, I guess, to see that. Yeah, it's reassuring that they kind of agree with us. But I think really this, man, I every time we do a draft, I'm like, man, I don't know if we could do a better draft for this, but then boom, we do another one. I really like this one for the Bears. I think, like I said, maybe even if the players are a little bit different, but I think it's going to be a stretch, I think, in real life that Will Campbell falls to pick number 10. So I'm not naive to think that that's kind of realistic, but I didn't make the rules for this mock draft. That's just kind of what happened to us. So we'll see what happens at pick number 10. But overall, as far as how the board fell to us, it's all you can do. I think this is phenomenal.
Yeah. I think pick number 10 is going to decide how they're going to do it, right? I think, and this is not, I've been known not to favor Ashton Jeanty, but if Ashton Jeanty's the pick at number 10, I think the Bears are in trouble. Because I think this is not a sexy draft by any means, right? This is not a draft that people are going to be talking about in the newspapers like the last couple of them have been, right? But this is a draft that's required, that winning teams do.
Winning teams. That's exactly the point. I mean, you can go for flash and pomp and circumstance and everything like that. That doesn't win you football games. This is what wins you football games.
Yes. So I think that's, whether that's Membu, whether that's Campbell, whether that's, I don't know if they fall in love with a different guy like Simmons or Connerly, right? Whoever is there at number 10, I think has to be their tackle in the future, right? You've got 2 of the most important positions with quarterback Caleb Williams and your coach. Now you've got to find him the left tackle that's going to grow with Caleb. I think that's your primary need. So doing that, if it's not a tackle, I would be skeptical about Chicago's future, right? If they're ever going to grow out of that off-season winner, regular season loser mentality that they have been for a couple of years.
Yeah, every year kind of off season is this is the year, and then it's still not the year. But we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, this is a phenomenal draft. Definitely make sure you comment down below your thoughts here of the draft, those players. Maybe around 10, maybe you are on the Ashton Jeanty chain enough to pick him there at number 10. I'm a huge Ashton Jeanty guy, but I don't know if I can justify that for the Bears at pick number 10 with really what they have to build on. But I really love this draft. I mean, trenches, invest in the trenches. We've seen even in the past Super Bowl how important the trenches are, having a phenomenal offensive line, a phenomenal defensive line. As long as you have the bases there and you have your quarterback in the future, which the Bears believe they have, I believe they have, good things will come. So I'm excited for this draft for the Bears. If they follow this model, I think they'll have a successful draft.
Yeah. I agree.
All right. Make sure you check out our other mock draft videos, our full round mocks, and our other individual mocks. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. I want to catch you next time here. on All Things Football.